Kamala Harris is entitled to her opinion, the same way you're entitled to your opinion, the same way I hold the opinion that she and the American government are a bunch of cowards, and that they have no right to talk about human rights because they're the biggest abusers of human rights. Child rights are equally human rights. And yesterday, 2 hours after that press conference with the president, a 28-year-old gun woman walked into an American school and killed 3 American children and killed 3 American teachers. It's the right, one of the fundamental basic rights of any human being is the right to life. The American government, in which Kamala Harris is vice president, is failing to take decisive action on gun control. And so people who should not have access to weapons are having access to assault rifles and killing innocent children and teachers in America. And the vice president of that country wants to come and teach us human rights. I mean, the irony of it. She's a person of color. But for being vice president, what happened to George Floyd could easily have happened to her, or any of the several people who have been killed in America by errant white policemen, which has led to the Black Lives Matter issue. If people have to demonstrate to let the American government know that Black Lives Matter, they need help from us. I've stated on record that myself and my colleagues are very willing to engage the American government and the U.S. Congress to help them shape laws that will clamp down on gun violence because they really have need for it. But it's the hypocrisy of the U.S. where they call homosexuality a human rights issue in Africa, but yet they are doing business with countries where homosexuality is frowned upon. Over $1 billion of military hardware is sold to Qatar almost on a yearly basis. In Qatar, homosexuality is punished by death, not imprisonment. Why are they not threatening Qatar? One of the biggest trading partners of the United States government is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, it's punished by death. Why are they not threatening them? Why are they not threatening Russia? Then they come to Ghana and Africa and they want to come and threaten us with LGBTQ. The American government is a bunch of hypocrites. If they really want to flex their muscle, they should go and flex their muscle on Russia, India, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the places where they are selling weapons to.
20 months of hard work, 21 months of hard work, and it's exciting to see the report of the committee finally laid. So you can effectively say that the first stage has come to an end. And most importantly, the fact that the committee recommends to the House that the bill should be passed, subject to the amendments that have been agreed between sponsors and the committee. So I think that we're in a good place. The House rises tomorrow. It's impossible for us to have the debates tomorrow, but I'm hopeful that when the second meeting of this sitting of Parliament is called, we'll be in a good position to have a proper debate on the bill.
We know that this has taken quite a long time. What are some of the challenges that confronted the committee, for which reason it delayed the presentation of its report?
Well, the sheer number of memos. It's the largest any bill in the history of Parliament has ever seen. About 200 memos from different countries, and so the committee had to do it well. If it had to be done, it had to be done well. We were learning from the Ugandan experience. Uganda passed the bill or a law without going through ticking all the boxes, crossing their T's and dotting their I's, because they just followed public sentiment. And then it was challenged in court. And the Ugandan law was thrown out, not because there was anything wrong, but because of procedure. So we've decided to take our time and go through procedure, do it right, get it right, so that because we anticipate that people will want to explore it in court. So you don't want to give them frivolous grounds on which to be able to attack the bill. So we've done a very detailed work. We're grateful to the committee as well. The committee, I've had occasion to fight the committee chair in the public, come to the press and issue threats and all of that. But I think it's all in the spirit of getting this done and carried along. And where we've got into, we say thank you to the committee.
Why are you pushing this bill that would legalize hate and homophobia in Ghana?
A very good afternoon to your viewers, and I do not understand what you mean by pushing a bill that will legalize hate and homophobia. it's a bill to promote proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. If you have another bill you're talking about, then maybe you've got the wrong man. But if you're talking to me about the bill I'm sponsoring in Parliament, it is to promote proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values.
What are
So
these
that's what you
Ghanaian
want us to
family
talk about, we
values
can
in
talk
your
about
mind, sir? What do you consider Ghanaian family values?
Article 39 of the Ghanaian Constitution is clear that the state shall take steps to inculcate the right Ghanaian values, customary values, into society. The Constitution of Ghana makes the states clearly that the National House of Chiefs is the custodian of Ghana's custom. This bill is supported by the Ghana National House of Chiefs. Our fourth consultative forum, which was held in the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi, was actually sponsored by the National House of Chiefs. And the president of the National House of Chiefs spoke extensively at that conference, where Ghanaian culture forbids homosexuality. And so Ghanaian culture, which
These
may be
members
alien to
of
you
the
and
LGBT
many of your
community we're
viewers.
speaking to, sir, are also Ghanaians. They are also Ghanaian. They are part of Ghanaian culture, and they're saying they're gay, they're transsexual, they're bisexual. They are also Ghanaians.
Some of the individuals who were involved in planning terror attacks in America are American citizens. Is it American culture to kill people?
That's a false, that's not the same comparison. But what I want to focus on
Who
here
says it's
is,
not the same comparison? You are telling me that because we have people who are carrying out an activity that is illegal per our laws already, and our culture frowns on it because they are found in our jurisdiction, that is our culture.
there
Is it
were many
American
things that
culture
were
to take a gun to
illegal
school and
that
shoot
are
innocent
unjust.
children and teachers?
Honorable MP, there are many things that were illegal, that were unjust, and those laws were changed because they are unjust.
Well, laws are a reflection of society. Until 1960, American society did not find women fit to vote. And so women did not vote there. When they found them fit to
And so,
vote, society evolved. Society evolves. At this point in time, the Ghanaian society is in a position where it says it is not welcoming of homosexuality. And any other person must respect the views of Ghanaian society. The CDD, which
what's your
is a far right, liberal think tank here in Ghana, carried out research which was published on the 1st of July. In fact, the academics who have sent in a memo against this bill have two of their fellows, the CDD's fellows in there, the Center for Democracy in Ghana, Democratic Development. They've been clear. Ghanaians are 97% tolerant of Ghanaians of different ethnicity, 94% tolerant of people of different religion, 91% tolerant of persons of different political persuasions, 71% tolerant of migrants and foreigners, but only 7% tolerant of homosexuality. That is the system, that is the society of Ghana.
What's your reaction
Laws
to
are
the
a form
members
of
of the
rule a
LGBT community,
society
sir,
agrees to.
that we've been speaking to, who tell us they're afraid for their lives when this bill passes, if this bill passes, that they're afraid to even leave their homes?
Well, anybody who is engaged in an illegal activity should be afraid of the law, shouldn't you? Then there will be no essence of law. But let's be clear about this. The United States in 2021 remains the most dangerous place for homosexuals. As of June 2021, an independent story, a story run by the Independent, an
Sir, this
independent
is not
newspaper,
about the United
points out
States.
that
This is about Ghana. This is
21
about
cases of
Ghana.
homicide. No, no, no.
This is about Ghana.
You're
So I
trying to
want to
make this a
focus on
global
Ghana, sir.
discussion, and that's
Hang
why I'm
on,
doing what
hang
I'm
on.
doing.
Let me ask the
if you will
question.
let me, I'm
Let me
gonna draw
ask you the
reference to
question,
Ghana.
sir. This is about Ghana. You are, as part of this bill, legalizing conversion therapy, which UN experts consider torture. Do you believe that homosexuality can be medically treated?
Well, tell me how individuals who are born men and decide to become women.
That's not an answer. Do you believe that people can be cured of homosexuality by some sort of treatment? I apologize. We appear to have lost the MP, Sam George. The connection is not that great. If we can reestablish that, we'll try and come back to him. And before we lost you, we were talking about conversion therapy, which is considered torture, and your bill would legalize that. Do you want to torture people in the name of curing homosexuality?
I was making the point that the individuals who decide to become transgender, who decide to change their sex from male to female, apart from undergoing surgery also engage in hormonal treatment. Is that torture? Because I don't see how different hormonal treatment is from what you call
Conversion
conversion
therapy
therapy.
is not the same as conversion therapy. These are very, very different. This is a false
What's
equivalence
different?
you're
What's the
making,
difference?
sir.
No, what's the difference? I would need for you to educate
I am
me
not
and
a
your
medical
viewers.
expert, but it's been by UN experts who look into this have considered
So
conversion
if you're not a
therapy as
medical expert,
torture.
Larry, if you're not a medical expert, and I'm saying to you that we've spoken to the experts here in Ghana, and there is nothing different because conversion therapy is a hormonal treatment. And I'm saying to you that when the individuals choose on their own volition to change their sex, they undergo hormonal treatment. Men go and take estrogen shots to be able to develop female features. And that's the same thing
That
as
is not the
conversion
same
therapy.
thing. That is not the same thing. But I want to move away from that because
You've
you talked
admitted you're
about
not
the
a
United
medical doctor,
States.
so you're not
You
in
talked
the
about the United
capacity to
States.
determine that.
This American organization held a conference in Accra in 2019, and shortly after, you introduced a bill with the same language, including family values. So you're influenced by a right-wing organization, which is considered one of the most hateful organizations exporting hate around the world. Is that correct?
It can't be farther away from the truth. Larry, I was never, myself and none of the 7 other colleagues of mine was at this conference. In fact, this conference came to my notice after the CNN's David Mackenzie asked me about it. Have had absolutely no contact with the World Council of Families. You describe them in the way in which you want to describe them. But we also have groups from the United States that are supporting LGBTQ rights, which is illegal in Ghana as we speak right now. Section 104 of our Criminal Offences Act makes it criminal. They're already trying to also influence Ghanaian stuff. This bill is in direct response. You say there was a conference here in 2019, a conference I'm unaware about. However, this bill is in, and I made a statement on the floor of the House in February, and my statement was clear. It was in response to the opening of an LGBTQ plus advocacy office in Ghana in January. That was supported by members of the diplomatic corps.
So you want
So
to
that
make
is
it
the
difficult
motivation for
for
this.
anybody to live an open, free life because of who they love in Ghana, and you want them to go to jail for 10 years. You're happy with that?
Well, you haven't read my bill. It's a misinformation to say that anybody who's found guilty of a homosexual act to go to jail for 10 years. That's a misconception you're peddling, and you should not do that on
They
an
can
international
go to
platform.
jail up to 10 years. This is just one of the
That
many
is not
penalties
true.
that is in the bill, sir, that you're encouraging Ghanaians to report anybody who is suspected of being LGBTQ. Is that correct?
Larry, I would advise that you and a job at what you're doing. Okay, if you want to put a spin on a bill, right? This is my bill that I've passed before Parliament. I'm going to read to you section 6.3 of the bill, or clause 6.3 of the bill, or 6.2 of the bill. A person who commits an offense under paragraphs A, B, C, D, E, F, G of subsection 1, which is the section that lists all the offenses, commits a second-degree felony and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 750 penalty units and not more than 5,000 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment not less than 3 years or not more than 5 years, or both. So when you talk about 10 years imprisonment for persons engaged in homosexual activities, you are misleading the world, and that's unfortunate.
All right, so you think, okay, 10 years is too much, but 5 years is perfectly fine for somebody who's gay in Ghana to go to jail.
Well, that is the punishment for a second-degree felony in Ghana. And the activity of homosexuality is a second-degree felony.
Honorable George, are you just a hateful person who does not want people who are different from you to have a life in Ghana?
That is a defeatist approach to ask me a question, a defeatist line of questioning, that I'm a hateful person. If I'm a hateful person, we will not be protecting the rights of persons with LGBTQ and saying that you should not, they have a right. They have a right to a fair trial before the competent court of jurisdiction. Section 22 of our bill prohibits extrajudicial treatment, and you're not highlighting that part. That part is the prohibition of extrajudicial treatment. A person commits a misdemeanor if that person verbally or physically abuses, assaults, or harasses a person A, accused of an offense under this act, or suffering from any gender or sexual identity.
LGBTQ plus
bill.
We are still at the committee level. In fact, yesterday there was supposed to be a meeting with the Attorney General, and me, respectfully, I'll say the Attorney General is filibustering the bill. The Attorney General is acting as a clog in the wheel of Parliament, and he must take notice that we are taking very keen notice of it, and we would flex our muscle as parliamentarians very soon with him, because he has been in this country when we called for memos. He didn't bring a memo. His staff have been with the committee from day one. After we finished all the work on the 176 memos we had, and the committee has done the clause-by-clause consideration, now the Attorney General says he has a memo to bring. He's brought his memo. Come and let us sit down. Today he's busy, tomorrow he's this. Yesterday there was supposed to be a meeting. The committee gave a time. He said it wasn't convenient for him. The time he says was convenient for him clashed with the arrival of the German delegation. We are looking to see if Tuesday he will be available. He should come and let us will address his memo, because his memo is something that we will dispatch in 30 minutes, because the substance of his memo has been dealt with already by the clause-by-clause consideration, so that we can go to the floor. If the Attorney General has any reservations, he should stop filibustering the process. He should allow the committee proceed. He should come on the floor. As Attorney General, he will be giving audience on the floor and come and debate us on the floor, and stop wasting our time in the committee. You know, when he goes to Geneva to go and make promises to the West that the bill will not do things, he's not a member of Parliament. He has no power to pass law. If he wants to fight our bill, he should bring his own bill to Parliament to come and counter our own, and we'll meet him on the floor. The Attorney General yesterday gave us a clean bill of health. It's his opinion. But his legal counsel to the government, and that carries a lot of weight. The committee has taken cognizance of his opinion and that of the various other stakeholders we've met with. We believe that within a week, the report of the committee should be ready for the final consideration of the committee, which will happen with the sponsors. And subsequently, we believe that within a 2-week period, that report should be ready to be laid on the floor of the House. So I can comfortably say that as sponsors, we have a debt of gratitude to the committee, Parliamentary Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, led by the Honorable Kwame Ayimedu, and the Honorable Bernard Ahiafo. The Attorney General's memo is dated 19th October 2022. He was responding to an October 2021 letter that had the original format of the bill. In the intervening time, the issues the Attorney General has raised have been dealt with by consequence of the committee's work with the sponsors. And I gave the example of intersex, for example, which he felt, which is what he had actually referenced in his memo, which has been taken out by consensus between the sponsors and the committee. And so most of the issues he had raised in his 19th October 2022 memo had already been dealt with by the committee and the sponsors. And so when he was giving the updated version of the bill yesterday, he realized that there was actually nothing left by way of objection. But if you read even his original memo on the original bill, you see that about 80% agreement existed on most of the issues that the bill, the object and purpose of the bill.